That's what sets this nation apart. Is that everyone, the ability for everyone, and we mean everyone, to go as far and dream as big as hard work and their God-given ability will take them. When I agreed to serve as President Obama's running mate, he asked me a number of questions, as I've asked Kamala. The most important was, he said to me, he asked me what I wanted, most importantly. I told him I wanted to be the last person in the room before he made important decisions. That's what I asked Kamala. I asked Kamala to be the last voice in the room, to always tell me the truth, which she will. Challenge my assumptions if she disagrees. Ask the hard questions. Because that's the way we make the best decisions for the American people. I got a chance to spend some time at my home today with Kamala and Doug. And I want to thank them. I thank them publicly for agreeing to join and take this journey with Jill and me. Doug, you're going to have to learn what it means to be a barrier breaker yourself in this job you're about to take on. America's first, second gentleman. And although they're not with us here today, I want to thank Ellen Cole as well. I had a chance to speak to Doug's mom and dad and to Ellen Cole. And we're going to get our kids together to let them know what's coming. My grandchildren are about the age of their children. Got to speak to them. My campaign has always been a family affair, every campaign I've run. So I've got some news for you. You're all honorary Bidens. And here's the best part. Kamala, you've been an honorary Biden for quite some time. You know, I came first to know who Kamala was through our son, Beau Biden. They were friends. They served as attorneys general at the same time. They took on the same big fights together. Kamala in California, Beau here in Delaware. Big fights that helped change the entire country. I know how much Beau respected Kamala and her work. And that mattered a lot to me, to be honest with you, as I made this decision. So now, we need to get to work, pulling this nation out of these crises we find ourselves in, getting our economy back on track, uniting this nation, and yes, winning the battle for the soul of America. My fellow Americans, now let me introduce to you, for the first time, your next Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. Kamala, the floor is yours.
There you go.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. As I said, Joe, when you called me, I am incredibly honored by this responsibility, and I'm ready to get to work. I am ready to get to work. After the most competitive primary in history, the country received a resounding message that Joe was the person to lead us forward. And Joe, I'm so proud to stand with you. And I do so mindful of all the heroic and ambitious women before me, whose sacrifice, determination, and resilience makes my presence here today even possible. This is a moment of real consequence for America. Everything we care about, our economy, our health, our children, the kind of country we live in, it's all on the line. We're reeling from the worst public health crisis in a century. The president's mismanagement of the pandemic has plunged us into the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. And we're experiencing a moral reckoning with racism and systemic injustice that has brought a new coalition of conscience to the streets of our country, demanding change. America is crying out for leadership.
Yes.
Yet we have a president who cares more about himself than the people who elected him. A president who is making every challenge we face even more difficult to solve. But here's the good news. We don't have to accept the failed government of Donald Trump and Mike Pence. In just 83 days, we have a chance to choose a better future for our country. So, Joe, Dr. Biden, thank you for the trust you've placed in me. Jill, I know you will be an incredible First Lady. And my husband Doug and I are so grateful to become a part of your extended family. And ever since I received Joe's call, I've been thinking, yes, about the first Biden that I really came to know, and that, of course, is Joe's beloved son, one of his beloved sons, Bo. In the midst of the Great Recession, Bo and I spoke on the phone practically every day, sometimes multiple times a day, working together to win back billions of dollars for homeowners from the big banks of the nation that were foreclosing on people's homes. And let me just tell you about Bo Biden. I learned quickly that Bo was the kind of guy who inspired people to be a better version of themselves. He really was the best of us. And when I would ask him, where'd you get that? Where did this come from? He'd always talk about his dad. And I will tell you, the love that they shared was incredible to watch. It was the most beautiful display of the love between a father and a son. And Bo talked about how Joe would spend 4 hours every day riding the rails back and forth from Wilmington to Washington so he could make breakfast for his kids in the morning and make it home in time to tuck them in bed each night. All of this so two little boys who had just lost their mom and their sister in a tragic accident would know that the world was still turning. And that's how I came to know Joe. He's someone whose first response when things get tough is never to think about himself, but to care for everyone else. He's someone who never asks, why is this happening to me? And instead asks, what can I do to make life better for you?
Right.
His empathy, his compassion, his sense of duty to care for others is why I am so proud to be on this ticket. And Joe and I, yes, we are cut from the same cloth. Family is everything to me too. And I cannot wait for America to get to know my husband Doug and our amazing kids Cole and Ella. Because whether I'm cheering in the bleachers at a swim meet, or setting up a college room dorm, or helping my goddaughter prepare for her school debate, or building Legos with my godson, or hugging my two baby nieces,
Legos!
or
Lego
cooking
kid.
dinner, Sunday dinner, my family means everything to me. And I've had a lot of titles over my career, and certainly vice president will be great. But Mamala will always be the one that means the most. And you know, my mother and father, they came from opposite sides of the world to arrive in America. One from India and the other from Jamaica, in search of a world-class education. But what brought them together was the civil rights movement of the 1960s. And that's how they met, as students in the streets of Oakland, marching and shouting for this thing called justice, in a struggle that continues today. And I was part of it. my parents would bring me to protests strapped tightly in my stroller. And my mother, Shamala, raised my sister Maya and me to believe that it was up to us and every generation of Americans to keep on marching. She'd tell us, don't sit around and complain about things, do something. So I did something. I devoted my life to making real the words carved in the United States Supreme Court, equal justice under law. And 30 years ago, I stood before a judge for the first time, breathed deep, and uttered the phrase that would truly guide my career and the rest of my career. Kamala Harris for the people. The people, that's who I represented as district attorney, fighting on behalf of victims who needed help. The people, that's who I fought for as California's attorney general when I took on transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns and drugs and human beings. And it's the people who I have fought for as a United States Senator, where I've worked every day to hold Trump officials accountable to the American people. And the people are who Joe and I will fight for every day in the White House. And let me tell you, as somebody who has presented my fair share of arguments in court, the case against Donald Trump and Mike Pence is open and shut.
Cut and dry.
Just look where they've gotten us.
Cut and dry.
More than 16 million out of work. Millions of kids who cannot go back to school. A crisis of poverty, of homelessness, afflicting Black, brown, and indigenous people the most. A crisis of hunger, afflicting 1 in 5 mothers who have children that are hungry.
Cut and dry.
And tragically, more than 165,000 lives that have been cut short.
Cut and dry.
Many with loved ones who never got the chance to say goodbye.
Cut and dry.
It didn't have to be this way. 6 years ago, in fact, we had a different health crisis. It was called Ebola. And we all remember that pandemic. But you know what happened then? Barack Obama and Joe Biden did their job. Only 2 people in the United States died. 2. That is what's called leadership.
Right.
But compare that to the moment we find ourselves in now. When other countries are following the science, Trump pushed miracle cures he saw on Fox News. While other countries were flattening the curve, he said the virus would just, poof, go away. Quote, like a miracle. So when other countries opened back up for business, what did we do? We had to shut down again.
Get sicker.
This virus has impacted almost every country. But there's a reason it has hit America worse than any other advanced nation. It's because of Trump's failure to take it seriously from the start. His refusal to get testing up and running. His flip-flopping on social distancing and wearing masks. His delusional belief that he knows better than the experts. All of that is reason. And the reason that an American dies of COVID-19 every 80 seconds.
Wow.
It's why countless businesses have had to shut their doors for good. It's why there is complete chaos over when and how to reopen our schools. Mothers and fathers are confused and uncertain and angry about childcare and the safety of their kids at school, whether they'll be in danger if they go or fall behind if they don't. Trump is also the reason millions of Americans are now unemployed. He inherited the longest economic expansion in history from Barack Obama and Joe Biden. And then, like everything else he inherited, he ran it straight into the ground. Because of Trump's failures of leadership, Our economy has taken one of the biggest hits out of all the major industrialized nations, with an unemployment rate that has tripled as of today. This is what happens when we elect a guy who just isn't up for the job. Our country ends up in tatters, and so does our reputation around the world. But let's be clear, this election isn't just about defeating Donald Trump or Mike Pence. It's about building this country back better. And that's exactly what Joe and I will do. We'll create millions of jobs and fight climate change through a clean energy revolution.
Amen.
Bring back critical supply chains so the future is made in America. Build on the Affordable Care Act so everyone has the peace of mind that comes with health insurance. And finally, offer caregivers the dignity, the respect, and the pay they deserve. We'll protect a woman's right to make her own decisions about her own body, root out systemic racism in our justice system, and pass a new Voting Rights Act, a John Lewis Voting Rights Act, that will ensure every voice is heard and every voice is counted.
Yes.
The civil rights struggle is nothing new to Joe. It's why he got into public service. It's why he helped reauthorize the Voting Rights Act and restore unemployment discrimination and employment discrimination laws. And today, he takes his place in the ongoing story of America's march toward equality and justice as the only who has served alongside the first black president and has chosen the first black woman as his running mate. But as Joe always points out, this election is about more than politics. It's about who we are as a country. And I'll admit, over the past 4 years, there have been moments when I have truly worried about our future. But whenever I think that there is a reason for doubt, whenever I've had my own doubts, I think of you, the American people, the doctors and nurses and frontline workers who are risking your lives to save others, the truck drivers and the workers in grocery stores, in factories, in farms,
Yes.
working there, putting your own safety
Yes.
on the line
Yes.
to help us get through this pandemic.
Yes,
The
yes,
women
yes.
and students taking to the streets in unprecedented numbers.
Yes.
The dreamers and immigrants who know that families belong together.
Yes.
The LGBTQ Americans who know that love is love. People of every age and color and creed who are finally declaring in one voice that yes, Black Lives Matter. All across this country, a whole new generation of children is growing up hearing the cries for justice and the chants of hope on which I was raised, some strapped into strollers of their own. And trust me, it's a song you'll never forget. So to everyone keeping up the fight, you are doing something. You are doing something great. You are the heroes of our time. And you are the reason I know we are going to bring our country closer to realizing its great promise. But to do it, we'll need to work, organize, and vote like never before, because we need more than a victory on November 3rd. We need a mandate that proves that the past few years do not represent who we are or who we aspire to be. Joe likes to say that character is on the ballot, and it's true. When he saw what happened in Charlottesville 3 years ago today, he knew we were in a battle for the soul of our nation. And together with your help, that's a battle we will win. Earlier this year, I said I'd do whatever Joe asked me to do. And so now I'm asking you to do the same. So visit joebiden.com to get involved in this campaign and vote. Because electing Joe Biden is just the start of the work ahead of us. And I couldn't be prouder to be by his side, running to represent you, the people. Thank you, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Kamala Harris giving her first address and the first appearance there with Vice President Joe Biden, their first time together as running mates. Welcome to our viewers in the United States and around the world. Wolf Blitzer is off today. I'm Anderson Cooper in the Situation Room. We are following the breaking news. And there you see Dr. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff. It's the first time we have seen all four of them together. Clearly they are abiding by social distancing. They wore masks as they came into the room, then took them off as they spoke. We heard a lot, really a character portrait painted by Kamala Harris about Joe Biden. And then she moved to making the case against Donald Trump, saying the case against Donald Trump and Mike Pence is open and shut. She talked about kids not being able to go to school, homelessness, hunger, COVID deaths. She brought up Ebola. And what she said was Trump's failure to take COVID-19 seriously from the start. Dana Bash is joining us. Dana, what do you make of this first appearance? Somewhat awkward, just given the sort of orchestration of it, lack of actually an audience there, other than reporters. I'm not sure who else really was in the room.
Yeah, I mean, given the situation, it could have been a lot more awkward. I mean, these were two extremely strong, pointed speeches from the presumptive nominees of the Democratic Party. And it is very, very interesting to me, just starting with Kamala Harris, the way that she wove in the Joe Biden message with the message that we heard from her when she ran for president, which ended, that candidacy, of course, ended before anybody even took a vote during the primary season. But she talked
In the corner on this pandemic, masking.
She talked about, of course, her personal.
And then move on to the news of the day that he would provide, and of course, probably a response to that.
Thunderstorms here across the northern plains. At this point, we're not.
Storms on the East Coast, and the power went out.
This is a.
Have a rollout like this taking place in the middle of a pandemic. You saw that they had to be separated. There was not a big hug, but.
This is a president who's created more jobs, 7 million jobs, and his first.
Runs into the ground. We've heard a version of that from Joe Biden, but it sounded a lot.
Justice crisis. And Harris, in her remarks, echoed those crises in remarks where she effusively praised Biden and his family, and then criticized the president. And like Biden, she reserved some of her sharpest critiques over the president's handling of the virus.
There we go. A new chapter has opened up, and I'm not going to lie to you. I am not registered to vote. I was so disheartened by what went on out here in Weakley County that I'm still bitter over that in which what had happened, simply because of David and I being concerned of children having this turned around to the point of charging a stalking charge onto my life. I feel like that if the system wants to clear itself up, I won't have to hire an attorney. I won't have to beg, borrow, or steal. The system will want to clear itself up pertaining to how that it is illegitimately taken my rights away towards being able to vote. And I realize I could go out of my way and I could go back up to Dresden and I could probably sign a couple documents, and the next thing you know, I could be back on the roll call again towards being able to vote. But the bottom line is this: with my particular life, I can't speak for others. It has not yet been fully resolved towards what has went on out here at 291 Thompson Road, Sharon, Tennessee, zip code 38255. And until it does, whether or not it be in this lifetime or the other, I advise people to participate in this particular system. But I personally think that it's so far gone that you can't repair something that is unrepairable. The only way to repair it is to start over again with a brand new system. Whenever that occurs, or whenever the judicial system in this area decides that they want to try to right a wrong, that in which what has occurred in my particular life out here, then maybe I'll speak a different tune, play a different tune in regards to going to the ballot box and actually casting my vote. But if I was, I can be most assured to my viewers that it would be on the Democrat Party rather than the Republican Party, because of Donald Trump, that has made such of a you-know-what out of not only himself but out of the party that he was supposed to have been representing, that it absolutely sickens me to think that anybody would actually have the audacity to go ahead and vote him back into power again. I mean, there's no doubt Donald Trump inherited a lot of troubles. And there's no doubt that this administration, if they get voted in, will inherit a great deal of troubles. But this is what the bedrock of this country was founded off of, which was people initiating problems and attacking the problems head on in resolving these issues. That's what America was founded off of. That's what our builders built this country off of. That's where some of the greatest scientists and doctors and cosmetology people and artists and architects and designers and builders and road constructors and welders and pipe fitters and farmers and people across the land and truck drivers. That's where they come from. They come from the bedrock of this country. So yes, if I was going to vote, I would vote for the Biden and the Harrison party because of their insight of what that they can see into the future pertaining to innovating qualities, pertaining to utilizing energy sources rather than just base it off of one particular thing or two particular things. They're actually diversified towards looking at all different energy sources. They just seem like that they're more upbeat in what the country actually needs to try to pull us out of this hole or out of this crisis that we're in right now. That yes, there has been some very, very bad choices. And yes, I heard with my own two ears how that the Democrats recognized Donald Trump siding with a bunch of hooligans overseas of people that he never should be siding with to begin with, regardless whether it be one group or the other. Good luck to all of us. Once more, shalom. This has been an eye-opener day of history-breaking events, of unprecedented things that is occurring, that will continue to unfold and occur up until people does cast their votes November pertaining to the better party or the best man may win. Good luck to all of us, and shalom, and may God bless America, and may God bless those who are in these high-ranking position authority places to help them guide and direct for the betterment of the good, of the betterment of we the people, as well as our Creator, God Almighty. Working through and with the Son, Jesus Christ, we want to thank you, and good luck to all of us, and shalom.